Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining us on this beautiful Tuesday. At least it's beautiful here in Colorado. I'm not sure where you're watching from. My name is Carrie, and we are going to be getting started here in a few minutes, right at the top of the hour. We are going to be giving away some prizes today, and you need to be present in our chat to win. So if you're watching on YouTube or Facebook, please switch over to streamlineartevents.com/Odom, and we're going to put that on the screen for you. That's the chat where we pull all of our winners from. So if you want to be eligible for prizes today, that's where you need to be. So head on over there, and we are going to give everyone a minute to get logged in, and we will see you guys shortly.
Imagine going from feeling like it's too late to discovering that you're
Thank you for joining us. We are so glad you are here today. My name is Carrie Stober, and we are going to be getting started with our show. For those of you who don't know me, I have been with Streamline Publishing for 12 years now. I am the marketing project manager, the manager of the Planner Salon Art Competition, as well as the community ambassador for our newsletter, Pastel Today. And Eric also lets me moderate these webinars, which is super fun. If you guys experience any technical issues today, please refresh your browsers. That's usually going to fix problems 99% of the time. If you still are having any kind of streaming issues, it's most likely an internet connection. But don't worry, because you will get a replay of this event when we are finished today. So if you have any issues, you're going to get to watch no matter what. I like to give things away. So if you haven't already typed in the chat where you are watching from, please do so now. I am going to select some names from winners for some of the prizes that we have today. And if I call your name, please type "I'm here" in the chat. And also send me an email to winner@streamlinepublishing.com. I want to make sure we get you access to your fun things. So the first thing I'm going to give away today is an easel brush clip. This clips onto your easel, or in my case, as a pastel artist, my backing board. I don't use a lot of paintbrushes, but I do have my blenders that I keep in there, my skewer, and then my value specs. It makes it super handy to have those just right there on the easel and keeps your stuff from falling on the ground. And if you are a painter, you know, you've always got brushes in your hands. That is helpful to have to keep all of your brushes right there. So our very first winner for today is going to be Catherine Bast from Canada. Congratulations, Catherine Bast from Canada. You are going to get an easel brush clip. And the next one I want to give away, I had already mentioned, is a set of a set of value specs. These are super handy. I struggle with values when I'm painting, and so I put these on so that I always forget to squint. So I put these on, and this helps me get my values correct. And as a pastelist, I actually use these to organize my palette, which is super handy. A lot of people will take a black and white photo and then kind of organize, but sorry, someone's here. And I just find the black and white photo having to go back and forth to figure out which sticks were in the picture. These I can just put on and, move them around as I go. So it makes it a lot easier to do. So value specs, our winner is going to be Carolyn Henderson from Nipomo, California. Congratulations, Catherine Henderson. Well, hopefully you heard your name, because it's either Carolyn Henderson or Catherine Henderson from Nipomo, California. You are the winner of our value specs today. So congratulations. And my lovely friend here, Amandine, is going to put links to each of those in the chat so that if you guys want to grab a pair, you certainly can. And my last giveaway before we get started is one of our best-selling videos from none other than today's guest, Kathie Odom. Her very first video with us, Bold Brushwork, is one of our top sellers. And this video is going to go to Becky, waiting with eagerness from Spokane. That is all yours, Becky. Congratulations. That is going to Becky from Spokane. That is a great video. You are certainly going to enjoy it. And stick around with us today because we do have more prizes to give away, including a ticket to the Planner Convention in May of next year in Lake Tahoe and Reno. So be sure to stick around to the end. Be present in the chat. That's how we select our winners. And as a reminder, for those of you who are just joining us, if you are watching on YouTube or on Facebook, switch over to streamlineartevents.com/Odom. That is the chat where we pull our winners from. So if you want to win anything, you got to be in there. So head over there. And then, like I said, if you guys have any technical issues, refresh your browsers, or perhaps try a different device. 9 times out of 10, it's an internet connection. These do take a lot of bandwidth when we're streaming these. So if you have any issues today, there will be a replay that you'll get in your email later today. So don't worry about that. We are going to have a Q&A with Kathie after today's talk with Eric. So feel free to drop your questions in the chat. We'll keep track of those throughout the event and try to get as many answered as we can towards the end. So with that, welcome to our free event today, How to Grow Your Painting Skills Fast, even if you're getting started later in life. And if you don't know Kathie Odom or her husband, Buddy, you are seriously missing out. They are two of the kindest and sweetest people I have ever met, and I absolutely adore them. And no, I was not paid to say that. They're two of my very favorite people. Kathie is a phenomenal artist and teacher, and she was actually just our judge for the September Planner Salon competition that we're going to be announcing next week. So we are honored that she is taking time out of her very busy schedule to chat with us today. And we have also decided to use this as a recording for our Planner podcast. So you'll hear Eric say, welcome Kathie Odom to the Planner podcast. And then he's also going to end the podcast when the interview is over, but that's not the end of our show. So don't be confused by that. If you are not familiar with the Planner podcasts, you can find more information at artpodcasts.com. We have our Planner podcast, art marketing podcast. So lots of information for you to peruse at your leisure there. And with that, I'm going to introduce our host for today, Eric Rhodes. And most of you probably know him, but for anyone who's new, we've had a lot of new people sign up. So Eric is the founder of Streamline Publishing, which is the only artist-owned art magazine company. He started it over 2 decades ago when he became a planner painter, and then later he started Fine Art Connoisseur magazine. Today, we also have multiple newsletters, including Insight Art, Realism Today, Fine Art Today, Planner Today, Pastel Today, and American Watercolor. And we also, I have our in-person events that he hosts. Amandine, if you could put up I have some other slides I want to show you for our in-person events. We have the plein air convention, and then we also have artist retreats like Fall Color Week, the Publishers Invitational in the Adirondacks, and our newest event, Winter Art Escape, which is taking place in February in the sunny and warm Florida, state of Florida. And he also hosts our online art conferences, Realism Live coming up in November, Watercolor Live, Acrylic Live, which is our newest one coming up in March. And then we have Pastel Live and Plein Air Live as well. You also may have known him or seen him on his YouTube show, Art School Live, which I actually got to host recently. That was super fun. He started this during the pandemic, and millions of people have discovered art techniques from the show, and some have even become artists themselves. He does it every weekday at 12 noon Eastern time, and it's a lot of fun. I really encourage you guys to go. We have a great group of people in the chat who are super encouraging and so knowledgeable about everything. They are wonderful. So with that, we are going to bring in our host, Eric Rhodes. Hi, Eric. Welcome.
Hi, Carrie.
I see you have Kathie's picture in the background. I love it.
I was just sitting back and marveling over how much you've grown since you started with us 11 or 12 years ago.
Yeah.
And thinking, I think I could just retire right now. You could take things over and everything would go smoothly. So I guess I'll officially announce my retirement right now.
Well, it might go smoothly, but I'm pretty sure people will miss you.
Well, they'll get over it. Well, thanks, Carrie. You're doing a great job. And thank you for hosting for the last month. When I was gone, I had to go to, I had to drive from the Adirondacks to Austin, Texas with the dogs. And then I had to fly to Fall Color Week in Carmel, and I spent a week there. And then I had to drive to Lake Tahoe and work with the hotels in Tahoe and Reno about our painting spots. And then I went from there to the Laguna Plein Air Painters Association, where I was a judge, spent a few days there, spoke a couple of times. And then from there, I flew to Dallas to the Fabriano watercolor show there. And so then I got to come home. So thank you for filling in for a month. With these daily obligations, it's a little harder to travel. So it's really nice to know I can rely on somebody like you and our guest host to really step in. So thanks to all of them. Well, today we're here because I get a lot of, I run into a lot of people. I remember I was at a cocktail party a long time ago, and with some very famous artists and some other very famous people. And I was kind of new to this art game. It was probably over 20 plus years ago. And there was a famous artist at the table, and he said, you cannot become a really good, accomplished artist unless you start at 12 or 15 years old. And I thought, well, that's discouraging. But, his level and my level are two different things. I managed to start painting when I started painting when I was 40. And that's because I was kind of bored with my life. I was working all the time. I was a workaholic. I had, I thought there's got to be more to life than working all the time. And I decided to start painting. So I picked up some stuff at the art store, which I happened into by mistake because I had to drop my wife off to get her hair done. And I wandered in there. I hadn't been in an art store probably in my life. And I walked out with a bunch of stuff, and I didn't even know how to use it, but I thought, well, this will be an interesting experiment. So I got a National Geographic, and I found a picture in there, and I started trying to copy that picture. And, it was just a disaster. My paint was clumpy. My drawing was funky. That was pretty awful. And so I tried, and I tried, and I tried, and I finally gave up. I thought, this is stupid. I don't have the talent. And then so I put all the stuff down in the basement and walked away from it for a while. And then I decided a couple months later, I'll try again. Maybe there's something I missed. So I tried again. It was a bad mistake. And so my wife bought me this art lesson over at the Armory Art Center in West Palm Beach. And I went in, and this guy said, just throw the paint around, just express yourself. And so I'm trying to do that, but I'm not into it at all. I'm not learning anything. I said, well, I want to learn how to paint something like something real, like a bottle or a flower or something. And he said, no, that's been done. That's old stuff. Nobody does that anymore. So I quit the class because, and then I waited another year. And anyway, I was in a cab and I got stuck in this cab, and the cab driver was an artist. And I told him the story. He says, oh, you need to go study with Jack Jackson. I said, who's that? He said, well, he studied in the lineage of Jerome. And I said, what's that mean? And he said, well, one master passes down to another master, passes down to another master. That's the lineage. And he said, so he studied under a lady by the name of Signora Simi, who studied under her father, Federico Simi, who studied under Jerome. Jerome was a great artist in Paris. And of course, Jerome studied under great artists before him and so on. So these things get passed down from generation to generation. And so he said, you got to go study with this guy. He's like the best. So I was so intimidated. I waited a year. And then when it was time to go in, my palms were sweating. And I was like, do I go in? Do I not go in? And I went in, and it was a class on how to copy the old masters. And I walked in and I saw all these people doing these incredible paintings. Instead of being encouraged by that, I was intimidated by it. I thought, I can't do this. And so I walked out. And thankfully, this guy, Jack, said, can I help you? And I said, well, I'm here to learn this, but I can't do that. He says, I said, I don't have that kind of talent. He said, you don't need talent. You just need to learn a process, and I'll teach you the process. Let me show you. And he engaged me immediately. And so I got engaged. He got me on a project. He got me painting. And, I studied with him for a couple of years, and it was life-changing. As a matter of fact, it opened my eyes to art so much that I was making my living as a publisher in the radio industry, as a trade magazine publisher, still do that. And I said, I'm going to devote the rest of my life to art. So that's what I've done. But, I find so many people find it difficult to learn to paint. They believe this myth that you have to have talent. And I don't believe that. I think that, there are some people who have talent, but most people don't sit down at a piano and play beautifully. You get lessons and you practice your scales and you go through your process. But you don't want to get bad lessons, because then you get bad practice. The same thing with art. If you get bad practice, it's going to create problems for you. Anyway, that wasn't exactly later in life. That was in my 40s. But honestly, I wasted 20 years trying to learn to paint. And I got some really great stuff with him, but he died. And then I didn't study with anybody else. And I'm trying to figure this all out. And I wasted a lot of time. And so I get questions all the time from people, people that encounter me on YouTube and stuff, that they say, is it possible to learn to paint and become proficient? They don't use that word, but can I get fairly good at painting? Even though I might be 50 or 60 or 70 or even 80. And my answer to that is yes, you can, because it's all about learning a process. So what we're going to do today is we're going to talk Kathie Odom, because Kathie is the poster child for this concept, because she didn't start painting until she was 50, till her kids were grown. I think we'll find out more about it. And yet today, and I don't even know her age. I don't even want to know her age. I'm not going to bring that up. But today, she's a master artist. She's world famous. We have her teach at our conferences, our online conferences. We have videos with her. And she is absolutely a remarkable success story. And so we're going to talk to her and find out how she did it and find out if it's possible for you. So that's what this is all about today. And then we have more giveaways at the end. We're going to give away a ticket to the Plein Air Convention. If you hang in there, get on the chat and get active. And I think that we're going to be able to solve some problems for a lot of people. What I think is really interesting is that a lot of artists say, you know what, they start out and they say, I just want to learn to paint. And if they do it well and they get good instruction and they start making progress, next thing you know, they start getting compliments, and then they get confidence. And then when they get confidence, they say, sometimes somebody will say, well, do you sell your artwork? And next thing you know, they're like, hey, I can make a little extra money, even though I might be still working a job, or I might be retired, or I can make a little extra money selling a painting here and there. And I think that's really cool. Now, not everybody wants to sell their paintings. A lot of people just want to paint them and give them to their family. And and that's good too. Sometimes they don't even want to do that. But, you know, and then Kathie, not only did she learn to paint, but she decided to turn it into a career. And I don't have a clue what kind of financial situation Kathie is in. And again, it's none of my business. But I will tell you this, that I know she's successful, and I know that she is living her dream. And we're going to talk to her about that. So, Kathie, welcome.
It's good to be here.
So, are you living your dream?
Oh, I think so. But I would also call it work,
Well,
you
of
know?
course. Well, there's, I like to say painting is simple. It's not easy, but it's simple. You know, if you follow the basic principles, you know, and then you got to learn and practice. And, you know, it's like anything else. You got to just beat the drum until you wear down the drum. So, Kathie, what before 50, what was your life like?
Um, oh, wow. I faux finished walls. I worked and helped get a furniture store into the 90s. And what else did I do? I raised 3 children.
Oh, well, that's a
I
big deal.
I kept up with Buddy, my husband, and helped with what he was into. And I've had several creative type jobs. I for a while had a frame shop in my home, and that that was so sad. I was framing art, but I wasn't in the frames. I wasn't doing what I love. So that led to wanting more for sure.
So, did you have doubts that you could learn this art thing?
I would no. I would say no because I was an art major in college, but it all went in the closet because I started my family soon after that, and I'm not a huge multitasker, but and I'm thankful for that because my children are living and they're well, and I don't
Right.
know
Yeah.
what it would
Yeah,
have been
a friend of
like.
mine, says, you know, the goal of parenting is to keep them alive until they can keep themselves alive.
Well, I can agree with that. I mean, eh, uh, but anyway, so also um, 2 parents that got ill a lot sooner than I would choose. And so I was up and down I-40 going to see them and try to take care of them and lost them before I even started painting. So there, all of a sudden, I thought, well, you're next. Your children have left, your parents have passed, you're next. And then I started painting, and I have had a new life after that and became much younger when I started painting. So,
Well, what do you mean by that?
well, I don't hurt when I'm painting. I mean, I have arthritis. I mean,
Uh,
I'm older. I d- but it's life giving to me, and it's and my as we started traveling and seeing places I never dreamed of because art entered my life. So yeah, I'm I feel younger now than I did 15 years ago.
so, what is your life like today?
Mhm.
Expand on that a little bit. Help me understand. Uh, you know, where you're selling paintings, how successful you are, and not financially,
Yeah.
but you know, understanding you're making a full-time living on your art. Is that right?
Yes. It takes two. And Buddy still works a few jobs himself, but I have been this year to 18 events and trips that had to do with art.
Wow.
18.
Wow.
And then I am in 8 galleries around
Eight.
the 8 around the country. And so, one of the phrases in our home is, it's time to flip flop with a gallery. And we'll do that. We'll move paintings around and they find the right home, you know? So that's happening. I'm also, this last year, have taught several workshops. This next year, I'll teach 10 workshops. They're on my website. Two of them aren't there yet, but we're still trying to confirm plans. And we're just going and doing and thinking through all of this and trying to make the right decisions. And
So
one day,
it sounds to me like really discovering art and embracing it has actually extended your life.
oh, absolutely. I really, really believe that.
Because
Um,
your attitude changed.
Yes, yes. And I'm going to say this is pretty vulnerable, but I've had 3 joint replacements in the last 15 years while painting. And I believe that painting has been the best medication. I don't want to take anything away from the doctors and medication and those that have helped me, but I wanted to get back painting, and that was the medicine.
I've heard people say that when they're painting, it's using a different part of their brain and they're not feeling their pain, which is
Mm,
pretty cool. So
yeah.
you have taught, you said you taught, you're teaching 10 workshops this year. You've taught literally hundreds of people. Um,
Mm.
you went to art school and then you decided to pull it out of yourself earlier. Are you encountering people who at different stages of life, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, who are able to pick up a brush and learn it?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And it may be not the way exactly how I'm teaching, but they're finding their way. They're listening to several teachers and they're pulling. That's one thing I teach is you don't want to paint like me. You want to paint like you. And you want to find your style. And but yes, it's really exciting when you do hear. I had a light bulb moment when I was sitting under you, and those light bulb moments have helped me become the painter I am. And I don't think we have ears to hear um, some of the things in workshops until we're ready. And and I love being that person that brings something to somebody and they are ready for it,
Yeah.
as
So
far as painting.
since the topic of this is how to begin your
Mm,
process and how to get, we're not going to talk about career yet, but we'll talk about that in a bit. But
mhm,
there could be people watching this who are 10, or 20 or 30. Um, and but what I want to understand is if we focus on how do you learn this well, how do you accelerate your progress? Because I painted for 20 years and didn't accelerate my progress. So
mhm.
what do you tell your students to do? What path do you tell them to follow?
Okay, this may not be in order, but
That, that's
no,
okay. We don't.
courage is one of the first things I say to every class that falls under me. If you don't have courage to try new things, to think that you can do it, that something great could come out of it, if you're not thinking that way, I don't know how it's going to turn out because I think it takes a great deal of courage. Then I think that there's a lot of people that come to my workshops that say, I can't draw a stick figure. How many times have we heard that? But I want to paint. And I always say, well, good luck with that. I believe drawing is valuable. And I say, just grab a piece of paper, set up a vase in front of you in the evening and draw. Just you stretch yourself in that way. And I was a drawing major in college and did not pick up a paintbrush in college, did not take a painting class there. But so much of that experience of drawing has made me the artist I think I am today.
So let's talk about drawing and talent, because
Mhm.
you have these people who always say those things. I can't draw a stick figure. I don't have any talent. Um, are you saying that anybody can learn to draw?
Yes. If
you,
you give
you
it,
had
if
a big,
you,
long, pregnant pause there.
well,
I was.
yeah. You just, you don't, I mean, we don't know,
I didn't
really.
tell you the questions in advance. I know. I'm sorry.
We
I
don't
never
really
know 'em.
know. But I think that if I mean, discipline, and I'm not a huge, I'm not, I've not been a real disciplined person, but I am when it comes to this art thing. And this art ability. I shouldn't say thing, because I see great value in it. But it takes time, and I have people that come to the workshop, and sometimes I feel like they're disappointed when they leave and they didn't pull out a good painting or something went south. Um, it takes a lot of time, and it takes time at home. It takes time in the quiet. It takes time in, well, for plein air, putting yourself, going out there and painting. Miracles happen, but haven't seen a lot of miracles happen when it comes to painting and skills and crafts. It just takes, and I made the time. I wasn't real young uh, at all, and I started, and I had to put blinders on in some ways to the rest of my life. Um, Important family things, my actual family took precedence, but I did say no quite a bit to doing things with friends that I would always do before my art.
Well,
So,
I will say this, Kathie, having known you for as long as I have, you're a very driven person. You're very driven and you're very focused, and you have managed to also get the help of your husband, who has kind of managed your career, and he's pretty driven and focused. And I know that you have very specific goals and directives that you're trying to accomplish. And we're going to talk about that in the career portion as we come up. There's a comment from Andy Gonzalez on Facebook, and he says, I'm going to be 71 this Saturday, and I really need to hear this. Did my first outdoor show this past Saturday, and I sold 3 paintings. All right, Andy,
yes.
congratulations. There's there's nothing like the validation of somebody else that is not a family member telling you they like your work, or
Uh,
that and I noticed a trend when I first started painting. People would say nice things, but they weren't true compliments. They were things like, oh, interesting colors, or uh, interesting composition, or well, that's colorful, or and after I started nailing it, people are like, who painted that? That's really good. Those kinds of things matter. And that's what happens when you really get that discipline. The same thing happened to me. It was when I finally said, look, I've been playing around with this too long. I got to get serious about it. I got to do something about it. And I need to develop a path. I knew that I had to have certain amounts of progress by certain amounts of time, because as you start aging, you start thinking, well, I want to make sure I can be as good as I can be for as long as I can be.
I'm with you. It's I'm running out of time. I say that a lot, even though I feel great and art has done a wonderful thing in my life. But I do say I'm running out of time, and I want to do this thing. I wanted I wanted more than just it to be something I did on the side or a hobby. I love the fact that so many use it as their hobby, and I love that. And but for me, there are still things that I need to make money for. um, we often say that a mortgage is a great incentive, and it is. And you know, I believe it's a gift right now, because if I didn't have that, I'm not so sure I would be painting as much as I am. And out of hard comes a lot of beauty. And it's not that it's hard, it's just pressing things that I need to pay for. And Buddy and I both are working really hard in all kinds of ways, you know, just to make it to the end. And but I get to do it with this beautiful gift of art. And when I get tired, I can get a little whiny sometimes. And I just remind myself of what I get to do for a living. And if you're courageous and you work hard enough at it and give yourself to it and say no to a few things in your life that probably keep you from it. For me, some beautiful, great things have happened, and I'm I would want that for everybody, really.
You know, I met an artist by the name of Ray Strong. Ray
Mhm.
was a very well-known Santa Barbara artist, and when I met him, he was 100 years old, and his son had wheeled him out to the ocean, to the beach, in a wheelchair, and he had a plein air painting set up tied to his wheelchair, and and
Amazing.
and he basically painted every day of his life, and including into being 100 years old before he died. And you know, those of us who are in professions that just beat up our bodies, you know, we can't do that stuff forever. And
Mhm.
and you know, but those of us who paint, um, God willing, we can paint forever. You know, and
Yeah.
you know, I know a lot of very elderly people who still paint, and they paint beautifully, some better than they ever have. So that's one of the things that's a gift about all of this. So um, if I had to say, all right, what are your best pieces of advice in terms of what processes you need to go through to learn, whether you want to do it as a career or as a hobby? What
Mhm.
you talked about courage. What else?
Okay, courage. Then I would sign up for workshops. As far as I would look for the artists that appealed to me the most. How do I want to paint? Look for that person, and that could be on one of these wonderful DVDs, Paint Tube, but it can also happen in person. If you're able to travel, go to a few workshops, and then let after each workshop and after each learning experience, let it sink in. Let it get in you and move around and try it. Try these different techniques that people have taught you, and don't have any disappointment if it doesn't look like that artist work, because get good at you. Get Work hard at getting good at you. The one thing that I have been told a few times is I can tell right away when a painting is yours when it pops up on Facebook. I know that's a Kathie Odom. And I heard that at first, but then all of a sudden I realized that's a really good thing to
Well,
not
we
be, yeah,
to not be somebody else.
yes, yes.
Well, and the other thing is that, we always get the question, how do I find my voice? And
Mhm,
the
mhm,
reality is your voice finds you. It's like your
uh-huh,
signature. If you sign your name 100,000
mhm.
times, you're eventually it's gonna be your look. And I
Yeah.
think the same thing is true of painting, don't you?
Yes, I do. I think that we all have our own calligraphy, I've heard before. Um, we have our way of putting paint down. I don't, I'm trying to learn how to teach viscosity, the thickness and thinness of how my painting comes together. And I can talk it, and I can kind of show it, but in a room full of people, that's hard to see. I really believe that you've got to find that on your own. And hey, you will if you're there enough. Somebody once said you've got to paint acres of canvas, and I'm working on it. I'm working on it.
Well, you mentioned attending workshops and things. One of the things I love about things like the plein air convention and the
Mhm.
online virtual conferences that we do is they're samplers. You get to watch at the convention, you get to watch demos from 50, 60 different artists. You get to watch 80 different artists painting out when we're out painting together. When you're online, you get to watch a whole lot of different artists and you can go, you know what, that's the one I want to study with. And people tell me all the time that when they teach on these events that they all of a sudden they start selling out their workshops because people are like, I like the way Kathie paints. I want to learn how she does it. Not to become you, but to be inspired by you and to learn a little bit about your technique.
Yes, I hope that I give enough instruction that people do find themselves. Um, I push toward that. I love the way I paint. I like it, or I wouldn't be doing it. And I sure don't mind showing people how it goes, how it happens.
So I made a mistake, and I want to just mention this to people because I think it might be helpful. Um, when I was first kind of learning this stuff, I studied with two people at the same time. I studied weekly with Charles White in California and with Camille Preswatic, and they couldn't be more different. Charles is more tighter, more rendery. Camille's looser, more impressionistic, and a colorist. May she rest in peace.
Mhm.
And I think that really slowed me down. What Joe McGurl told me after I studied with him, he said, "Listen, I don't mind if you attend other workshops, but he said if I were you, I would just take several months. Don't change your palette, don't change the colors, just practice everything that I've taught you over and over and over again." And that turned out to be some of the best advice I ever got because it was after studying with him and after doing that that the compliments started coming. And because I wasn't this skittish, well, one minute I'm going to try this person's style, and the next minute I'm going to try this person's style. And by the way, I do that somewhat anyway because I'm always getting videos and watching videos, and I love to see how different people approach things. And plus, when I'm on my YouTube show, there's somebody teaching different every day. So I'm always going out and buying new colors or trying new techniques that I learn every day. But I do think it's a really good to kind of lock in on something and don't try to change everything too much. It's when your palette is your keyboard. And imagine
Mhm.
if you're playing the piano and all of a sudden you added a new half step note that didn't exist before in the keyboard here and there. That's like adding a couple more colors. Now everything's out of harmony and you have to kind of get back into harmony. So
Mhm.
I'd encourage people to stabilize a little bit.
Mhm. I love that you brought that up because I have had the exact same palette for 15 years.
Really?
Um, I have added a color here and there that somebody suggested to me or I picked up in a workshop, but I started out with Richard Smith's palette. Now, my mentor was using him as far as that's who he wanted to paint like. And I got introduced to that palette, and I thought, how can I do better? I mean, the wonderful famous Richard Smith, but I have learned to use it in my own way. But every one of those colors that's in his Alla Prima book can make every color I've ever wanted to
Yeah.
use. So there's a tip right there.
Yeah.
It's
And always lay it out exactly the same place.
I do not go to Jerry's Artorama in person because I know myself well enough to know that I want every color down that aisle. And I have stuck to this, and it really has proven to work for me and be a good thing. And yes, every color has its place. I find my arm just going to the color that I need. It knows it. It knows it, and that is a huge thing I like to teach.
So
Yeah.
if you're spending all of your time relearning your color mixtures, then you're not able to paint instinctively because you're thinking about color mixtures. You want to get to the point where once you've got your palette down, you know this is where my blue is, and this is where my red is, and this is where my yellow is, and I'm going here for my white. And you know it's always going to be there, and you can mix these things instinctively. And the minute you throw one new color into everything, it just kind of it upsets it. I unfortunately am that guy that I go to the art store and I'm like, I got to try this. This is a new one. And I try them for a while and they stay on my palette for a while. And then if I don't use them, but once in a while I'll find something that stays. Well,
Yes.
let's transition into career. There are people watching who would like to be able to make a little extra money. Maybe they already have a job, but they want to make a little extra money. Some want to make a little extra retirement income. Some want to say, you know what, I want to go full tilt head on. I want to make my living as an artist. So all of those are kind of similar. What is your best advice when it comes to trying to figure out how to make a living as an artist?
Invest in yourself. It takes income and money to do this thing. And I joke that the first 5 years I didn't make a penny. I don't know if that's really true or not, but I just kept investing. I would get an ad in one of your lovely magazines. I would sign up for events and see if I got in them or not. And that was money to do that. And I might have lost money because I didn't get in. The way I thought about that was I'm investing in what I believe in. I believe in this art thing. And I'm whether I get in or not, that money's going to a good place. It's going to help somebody's career. Um, Putting yourself out there, again, the word courage comes in. But probably one of the greatest things for my career as we got going is definitely getting a website. And your website, if it has the tool of putting an e-newsletter out, we started a newsletter and it goes out at the beginning of the month, every month of the year. And I have collectors and friends and family that expect that, and they're looking for it. And that has been one of the greatest tools, I believe. And then, of course, it came to having the courage to sign up for those plein air events. And I don't know why, but I got in the first one I signed up for, and it hasn't stopped. I'm slowing down a tad I'm slowing down with that a little bit and doing a little bit more teaching. But the the events that put your name out there, and get better at your craft, at what we do. Get better, and you'll start to find some success. And that feeds more success, I believe. It just is the greatest encouragement in the world. Earlier, we were talking about the first person or two that notice your art that aren't family. Well, the first person that bought a painting from me that was a stranger, that was probably the biggest encouragement I have ever had. And I thought that was genuine. That was real. They wanted to live with my art. And thank goodness for the people that bought the early paintings,
Yeah,
because
that's right.
that I would not be here without that, and very thankful for those folks.
There's I like to say when I do art marketing training, there's a switch that goes on. It's if you put yourself out there in a professional environment, whether it's entering an art competition like the plein air salon, whether it's entering a plein air event like the Laguna Plein Air Painters Association, the minute you put yourself out there, you're in a different category. You are now a professional. You may not be getting paid as a professional yet, but a switch goes off. If you're painting next to someone good, that switch goes off, right? So you mentioned Richard Schmidt. I sat up in the garden and painted. I was painting with Richard Schmidt, and he said, "Well, set up right next to me so I can watch you." And I'm like, "Ooh, it's going to be awful." But I had to step up my game, right? Because I had to be really more careful. And when you put yourself out there, you got to step up your game, and I think that's really important.
Yeah.
What else?
Pressure is not a bad thing either. Putting yourself in pressure related things is probably one of my secret tools. I don't know why I asked for it, but I do, and I would say that has really helped my painting.
Absolutely, I think so too. Now, talk to me about you. And your husband, Buddy, made the decision that he was going to leave his full-time employment and become your manager.
No,
That's
no,
not true. That's not true.
that is not true.
Okay, I missed.
Buddy is he is a listener. He is a pastor to pastors. He he doesn't let people that have some authority get away with things. He's a good friend, and he actually has a nonprofit in that.
Oh, okay.
So when we're on the road, he's on the phone a lot, and so he's got that going on. My managing this art is a huge job, and he has taken that on. But Buddy Odom can spin a lot of plates, and I
Okay,
happen to be real
but he
thankful.
is your manager.
Yes, absolutely.
So what is your best advice about that? Because that can be sliced both ways, I suppose. Do you recommend I mean, I know he's got a lot going on. Do you recommend that you get someone in your family to manage for you, or do you pay someone to manage for you? And what is the benefit of that? And what point do you make that leap?
Well, we both have been in each other's lives and helping each other with our different jobs for a long time. Um, I would, but I think everybody that's serious about this needs somebody like a buddy, or a child, somebody that knows technology better than you do, um, a friend that encourages you in your art. Say, hey, you're good at the computer thing. Let's barter here. I'm not so sure you need to be paying somebody, but maybe giving paintings to somebody. that would love to help you. Buddy has a whole list of these type things that really does help a career. And that one is really big on the list to get help. And, I definitely need it. And this career wouldn't be where it is without the help of Buddy Odom.
So I want to continue this dialogue, but I
Mhm.
want to tell everybody something that's pretty exciting that is happening. Um, as people may or may not know, we did a video with you, a couple of videos, a few years ago, and they became very, very big. And we decided to try something new, and we've only done it 3 times. You're the third. And we did it much differently this time because we're growing and learning. But we have found that people want to know about the life of the artist. And so what we did is we came up with a new video project, and it's not just a demo video; it's something more than that. So, Kathie, let me just tell people about that for a second, and then
Right.
and then I'll come back on camera and we'll ask a couple more questions before we roll. But what this looks like is we have a really terrific videographer, Scott, and he said, "Listen, I think we need to get into people's environment." And he's got a lot of big dreams for us and some of the things that he'd like to do. And so we thought, well, let's send a crew to Kathie's house, because Kathie lives this really interesting life in the South. I've never been to her house. I don't know what it's like. It could be a modern house, it could be an old white clapboard house, but I have this vision of what it looks like. And I thought, wouldn't it be nice to just to go follow Kathie around with a camera for a few days, to go see her friends, go to her town, do her world, Kathie's world, but then, see her studio, do a tour of her studio, have her take us out plein air painting, have her do some demos for us, bring some of her students in and talk to them and what they're learning, and just do something really big and spectacular. So we've come up with this thing, and I just want to tell you about it. It's called the Ultimate Edition. And this is a pretty terrific product that we are really, really proud of. It's many, 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 many hours, and it's called Odom, right? And it's like Cher, right? Everybody knows who Kathie Odom is. And this is getting into plein air and studio demonstrations. But here's what it's got. It's got a 3-hour plein air demonstration. It's got a 4-hour studio demonstration. It has high-speed views of both demos. It's got an exhibit of Kathie's work. It's got her insights. It's got a section called Connections and Creativity, where you watch and learn from illuminating student interactions, where she's actually interacting with her students and giving them critiques of their paintings. When I do critiques, people love learning about paintings from watching other people. Plus, it's interspersed with interviews of her contemporaries and commentary from Kathie that deepens your understanding of her process. It's got conversations and community, a day in the life of Kathie as she takes you from her favorite painting locations to the art world. You'll join her on a scenic drive, stroll through a bustling gallery, engage in insightful conversations with her book publisher, and cap off the day with a warm, intimate dinner at home with Kathie and her husband and Buddy and their friends. It's just so different. We also came up with, there's 2 other editions. The premium edition has just the studio landscape demonstration, but doesn't have all the other stuff. And then the signature edition has just the plein air demonstration. But we're giving you a webinar value today, and this is for today only. And tomorrow, the price is much higher. But the retail price on this is $497. You're going to get it for $297. Tomorrow, the price goes up a full $100 or close to $100. So the 3 versions, $177, $187, or $297, And I want to play real quickly a promo about this so that you can see this.
Imagine going from feeling like it's too late to discovering that your best work is yet to come. That's what happened to Kathie Odom.
The journey started at 50 to do what I have wanted to do for forever, painting.
Many might have seen her late start as a disadvantage, but Kathie saw things differently.
I got in the game late. I haven't been painting as long as a lot of people. My paintings that are done outside in plein air are just as much a painting to me as anything I do in the studio. As an artist, I can think about it the way I need to think about it.
The bravery it takes to pick this up and take off with it and then walk into a gallery and say, this is good.
Kathie Odom here. Welcome to my farm. Hey everyone, you're in my studio today.
Inside this series, you'll get an exclusive look at Kathie's sources of inspiration.
I don't want to just paint pretty pictures. I want somebody to view my paintings and it transports them to a place that they remember. That's important to me.
You'll also get to learn and follow along with Kathie's complete process.
A lot of people that are painting will tend to leave some of these details to the end. If it works, I need to go ahead and do some of it. Just for the reason I want to be content and happy with what I'm seeing.
But most importantly, you'll learn lessons that will help you see the world through the eyes of a master painter.
We've got to be willing to make a mess to bring beauty. And that goes more for life as well as painting.
We've poured our hearts into this special release, so come join Kathie Odom on this journey and see your art transform.
Oh, I really hope that y'all will come join me. I'll be home and I'd love to have you here. Sometimes I don't even touch the canvas, but I'm just dancing, feeling it. I think we ought to call in more planes, so I'll quit talking.
To help a sister out?
I just am so excited about this. It's just such a warm and welcoming family. Anyway, we have today, only for you who are attending, we're giving you a special price. This is only for you. This is the price is going up tomorrow. Tomorrow is the official release, the pre-release tomorrow. So the ultimate edition, which is the one you want, is the plein air plus studio plus all the other stuff at the farm and the visits and the students and everything. It's $297, and it is worth every penny. You've got, for those of you who can't do that, can't make that stretch, then there is the studio version or the plein air version. Studio version is a little bit longer, and so you can get those, but the ultimate is where you really want to be. And so we're going to give everybody a bonus for the next hour. Anybody within 1 hour of when we end this broadcast, we're going to give you also Kathie's PACE Plein Air Convention and Expo 2024 demonstration, as well as our gift to you for anybody who signs up in the next hour. And if you don't, quite frankly, you'll have till midnight tonight. But if you don't today, then tomorrow you're going to pay a higher price, and you don't want to regret that, of course. So these are the today only prices. And if you go, we've put the website down below the player, and it should be on the screen too, but it's painttube.tv/Odom. And that's what we've got. Let's get back to Kathie. Kathie, congratulations.
Thank you. I couldn't be more honored. I really could not. I'm so flattered, so honored. And yeah, let people come home with me.
What was that like, having all these cameras following you around? And
Well, first of all, the guys, Scott, John, and Ian, they're already invited to Thanksgiving and Christmas if they want to come. They were just great. We have a little cabin on the property, and they stayed there, so they were right there with us the whole time. And it was I mean, it was surreal. I mean, and it never would I have dreamed that something like that would happen, but we really had a good time. Um, and I couldn't believe how well it flowed. I mean, we had friends coming in and out for a meal. We had students coming in and out, and and it all worked. Somehow it worked.
And all
It
of a
was
sudden your
great.
friends realized, wait a minute, this Kathie person really is a big deal. I mean, she's got a camera crew following her around.
You know, my community is rather shocked. I will say that. But they're also very supportive. There wasn't one person at that table, I think, that hadn't bought a painting. So I appreciate that. And yeah, so I wanted to say real quickly that share, thank you for that. I don't think you've got a share here, but I appreciate it. And then I wanted to say, you must come and visit.
I will. After seeing this video, I got to come. Absolutely.
Yes,
As a matter of
yes.
fact, I'm coming for Thanksgiving too.
Oh, come on. Just let me know ahead of time.
Yeah. All right. Well, how like 5 minutes ahead?
It would probably happen.
Kathie, you're so generous. Thank you.
Uh,
What are some of your final thoughts of encouragement to people who are like on the fence about trying to learn to paint, or maybe they're already painting but trying to push themselves to a higher level? Um, because we see a lot of people, and there's not a right or wrong, and I'm not being critical of anybody, but I have a lot of friends that get to a certain place, and then they just don't grow, and they know they're not there. They know they can get further. They're not doing anything about it, maybe because they lack the confidence. But what would you say to these people who need to kind of step out and take it to the next level?
if they have been doing it long enough that they're coming out with some paintings that are worthy and great paintings, I would say put yourself in the position of teaching, or put yourself in the position of getting a group together to go out and plein air paint. Because plein air painting, teaching and sharing, and I'm going to use a word you just used a minute ago, generosity, being generous to yourself, being generous to people around you, all of that has helped me get further down the road and has taught me a lot.
So I got to tell you something. I probably shouldn't say this publicly. All right. So
Oh no.
no, it's not going to hurt you. It's going to hurt me. Um, you came to Fall Color Week as an attendee when we did Fall Color Week in the Adirondacks a couple of years ago. And you set up and painted by the lake. And I thought, I'm going to set up by Kathie because I want to kind of learn from watching Kathie. And I sat up next to you, and you did that incredible painting of that boathouse on the water. And Elaine Miller called me or sent me a note last night and a picture. My painting of that boathouse sold last night. So good timing.
Yay!
Yay. So I'm going to have
That's
to,
awesome.
you brought
That's
me some
awesome.
good luck. I'm going to have to set up next to you some more. Okay. So any final career advice?
I've said a lot of it already, and I can say it again because I don't think our ears hear things all the time, but let yourself be courageous, be generous, learn from people, then get in your studio and paint. Paint and learn plein air. You will never, plein air may be the greatest teacher ever. You see things that you just don't see in photographs. Get outside. And then you take it into the studio, and the development of your paintings in the studio is on a new level after you've been outside painting.
I got to tell you that I've watched a lot of people who were studio painters their whole lives who fought me on the idea of going out and plein air painting.
Mhm.
And I just said, just get out, just go out and do it a couple of times. It'll change your life. And almost every one of them has said it really did. All of a sudden, it changed their colors, it changed their light, it changed their form, because you can see it. You can't see that from a photograph. And well, once in a while somebody's resistant and says, I don't want the bugs, but I have bug bites all over me. Thank you very much because of that.
Yes.
But it's, to me, it's the best. And so that's
Yes.
why I've really devoted my life to plein air painting and plein air magazine and everything.
Yeah. Thank you
Kathie,
for that. Thank you for that.
no, I wasn't looking for that, but you're very welcome.
Well,
Listen, we're all in this together, and you talked about generosity. God has given us each a gift,
yeah.
and we don't. Sometimes we don't know what those gifts are, but when we realize what the gifts are, I think it's our obligation to use them. And if you're hearing that voice in your head and it's saying, "Hey, you need to start painting," and the other voice in your head is saying, "No, no, no, you can't. It's too late. You don't have any talent. You're not going to be any good. You're going to embarrass yourself." Just push out the negative voice and listen to the voice and follow your heart and do what it takes.
Yeah. I am in full agreement.
Well, Kathie, I don't know. Carrie, can you come on for a second? Can we open up to questions?
Yes, we have questions.
Oh, good. All right, let's do this. I'll
Okay.
let Carrie take the questions.
Okay. So first question is, how long after you really started painting did you feel like you had a painting that was worth selling or worth entering a competition? Do you remember?
Well, it was pretty quick. And I don't want to say that to discourage people at all. I think the art background of college and drawing really gave me a head start. But my first event, I won 2 awards and sold paintings. And I'd say that was um, about 4 years into starting painting. So, but I think I sold a few even before an event. But hey, it was courage. It was courage to get out there and do it that made that happen.
Yes, that's awesome.
Mhm.
Okay, so we have another artist who says that they are 50, they just retired at 50 and can finally paint full time, but they haven't made it a habit yet. How do you buckle down and leave looking for inspiration to creating it?
Okay, I got an answer for that. I started at 50 also. I found a mentor or somebody to work to learn from or just to get going. And that doing that and setting a time weekly to be at that lesson, and nothing came in the way of that. My family knew if they needed me, it needed to be serious. And I would come to them. But that, and then my mentor left and moved away, and we set up a plein air group every Tuesday. It's called Tuesday Painters in Eastern Tennessee, and everybody knew Tuesday was Kathie and Kaki's paint day. So 1 day a week, and then you get out there and do it, you want to do more. So it just propels you into painting more. So that would be my answer on that one.
That's a really good answer.
Yeah,
Because that actually answered another question of, did you have a mentor? Yes, you did.
I did. I did. And I don't mind saying who it was. I'd love to say who it was. Jeremy Doss. And he was in Townsend, Tennessee, and went there 3 hours a week while he still lived here. And I know that he is painting now in Santa Fe and maybe somewhere else out west. But that was a great, great gift to me to start painting with him.
That's awesome. Our next question is, how would an artist go about being more organized in terms of there's the whole time management aspect, especially, if you've got kids or family or, part-time job or, all that kind of stuff. How do you kind of handle time management and stay organized?
Okay. First of all, let me say anybody trying to do this, young, having a full-time job, or being a full-time mother and having a full-time job, my hat is off to you. That was not my story. Although I was creative all those years, I just wasn't into the paints. And I don't quit. Keep doing it. I wish I had, and I think it would have been great for my kids to watch me do it and to join me. But that would be a definite. I don't know how I would have done it then. Um, but as far as management and organization, um, I I make a new plan probably once a week. But I make a plan, and I think I'm going to be out in the studio, not early morning. I like getting my house kind of straight, and I love thinking about what I'm going to cook for dinner, and I'm kind of that type of woman. But by 10 o'clock or maybe even noon is when I'll head to the studio. And like I said, every week that plan changes a little bit, but it's always thinking, how can I get out there? Or, and also, have stayed a part of Tuesday Painters. I'm not there a lot anymore because I travel so much. But if I am in town and I'm not exhausted from jet lag or something, I am at Tuesday Painters, and keeping that as an obligation. Every now, we wake up, we don't feel so good. Push through, get outside, and act like you're younger than you are.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
got a couple of questions. For couple of questions and observations. Number one is if you don't turn it into your job, you won't make it. And what I mean by that is if you don't set an intention, a time to be in your studio every day, like you said, it varies, but it's the same with working out. If I don't get up and put my workout clothes on, I don't work out. And so you just got to stick with it every day. It's incremental progress. But the difference is if you're painting, let's say, even for 1 hour, 365 days a year, you're going to make a huge gap rather than painting 1 hour every 2 or 3 weeks. And so you've got to look for a way to have some discipline. The other piece of that, I would say, is throw a sketchbook in your purse or your pocket, in your car. And I learned this from the Russians. So they said, always be sketching. And so we're standing in line at a grocery store waiting to get some food, and they've got their sketchbooks out and they're sketching people. Anything that you can be doing to get that hand-eye coordination, learning of sketching is good. We have a question from Gary who says, I consider myself creative and decent draftsman, but I find it hard to find subject matter at times. It is kind of deflating. Is that typical?
When I first started, and I'll never forget one of the first events, Buddy was with me, and we drove around till 3 o'clock in the afternoon looking for the perfect subject. And I was frustrated. He was frustrated. But he was being an angel about it. And I was new to this, but I just wanted that perfect scene. And I actually found it at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. It had an East Tennessee look about it, even though I was in Virginia. And it was the perfect thing to paint, but it was such a frustrating day. So after that situation, my new rule for myself or goal is that the minute something just kind of catches my eye, something that reminds me of something in my past, or it's just a good color. Stop, paint it, because the longer you stand there and look at it, the more beautiful the scene becomes that you're looking, or more things you see. And it may not be a beautiful thing, but it may be an interesting thing. And so, hey, if you start and paint it then, you've got one under your belt, you'll be much better off the next time. Just go for it, do it.
I did my first workshop this year, and I'm planning another. And one of the things I think is an important thing is to drop you in the middle of nowhere and say, find beauty in wherever we are. And if you're in an alley, it's a great discipline. You're going to paint garbage cans, you're going to paint garage doors, you're going to find something in that. And it's a really great tool, because I, like you, have spent, I was with an artist friend one day. We drove around for 3 or 4 hours looking for the perfect spot, and we never found it. And we left, we were frustrated. So when I do that, and I do it still, but usually if I catch myself driving more than about 30 minutes, then I just say, okay, the next spot that's even slightly interesting, I'm going to pull over and do that painting, because otherwise I won't get to paint.
Yeah. Yeah.
Any other questions, Karen?
We've got a couple here, so I know we're coming up on time. Kathie, what is the name of your book?
Oh, Let the Art Speak. That name came from Buddy, just with marketing and marketing thoughts, and we were thinking of new and way, which is a good thing. But I remember one time just saying, all I want is for my art to sell me, I want to sell my art. I want the art to speak. And that just ended up being the perfect name for the book.
Well,
Thank you for
I
asking.
got to tell you, it's so wonderful. I've got your painting hanging here in my office behind me, and that normally hangs in our living room. And it's so wonderful to have your book on the coffee table. And then when friends come over, they go, wait a minute, that painting's in that book, or that's the same artist. And so it's really cool to have that connection. But what a beautiful book. And I wish we had a link to it. Maybe we do. Maybe we sell it, don't we? Or do we?
You did at the convention, and it's on my website.
Okay. So we'll send them to your website if they want to get that. Okay. Yeah. Let's get like 2 more questions, and then we'll
good, because I have 2 more. Kathie, do you offer Zoom classes?
I'm sorry, repeat.
Do you offer Zoom classes?
Zoom, yeah, yes, I have. I don't have any on the calendar right now. That all started during COVID, and we probably will do another Zoom at some point, but right now we're doing things in person.
What a lot of people are doing is they're making them, Scott Christensen is doing this. He's basically saying you need to watch, take my pre-course or my video before you come in and take a class, because that way you can get the basics down. And then, before you take a Zoom, watch this video or that video. That'd be helpful. That's okay. One more question.
Yep. The last question is, Eric, this was directed at you, but either one of you can answer it, is how did you develop your drawing skills? It seems like that's a big issue.
I spent so much time, how long ago? 40 years ago, in school drawing. And I learned perspective. I learned technical things about seeing. And I love that book, The Right Side of the Brain. Really, really good book. Drawing from the Right Side of the Brain. And I would recommend that. I would recommend doing it. And once you've kind of gained some skills in that, I just can't tell you how much easier it is to come up with a composition for a painting. Yeah.
Okay. So I just want to touch on that too, from my perspective. I'm not a great draftsman. I'm proficient to an extent, but there are so many great people out there who, who they can do these unbelievable drawings, portraits. I think from my perspective as a painter, I need to be able to draw well enough to get the architecture right or to get the angles of the road right. So I think that what Kathie said is understanding perspective, 2-point, 3-point perspective is really important. There's a simple process. You can take a Joanna Arnett taught me this at Fall Color Week. Take a pencil and put it in the middle of your head and look at the horizon. And that pencil, your eyeballs are in line with the horizon. Anything above the horizon goes up, anything below the horizon goes down. And just understanding simple things like that make a difference, because that way you get roof lines right. But I have 30 sketchbooks. I have them everywhere. I have one in here. And anytime it hits me and I'm just nervous or trying to kill time, or I've got something going on, I have one in the door of the car. And when my wife is driving, when we're coming back from the Adirondacks, I'm sketching. So just sketch a lot. It's amazing how much just a little hand-eye coordination can make a big difference. But if you really want to nail it, there's a book called Bargue, B-A-R-G-U-E. And Bargue is the way the classics, how they taught classical drawing and how they still teach it in the ateliers in Italy and New York and others. And you just buy that book and you copy one page at a time. And sometimes I've spent 6 or 10 days copying one drawing in there. And that's a really great way to do it if you really want to get good. But Kathie, any final thoughts?
Just real quickly on the drawing thing, I sketch before every painting. And those sketches are not fine drawings. They are quick and fast because I want to get to painting. And so as far as just scribbling a scene in front of you can do great things and help you. Also, one other thing I want to say, and I just really hope this is okay, and I can't see that it wouldn't be, but we lost a sweet girl in the floods in Asheville. And she was at the plein air convention in Cherokee. And I think, Eric, you did post about her. But she passed away, and she was one of the victims of this horrible storm. She had so much energy and wanted to learn how to paint. And when I went to her Facebook, my demo was on her Facebook from the convention, and also a wonderful painting of Jeremy Sams. And it just said to me, this gal sees that painting is worthy and a great thing. And hopefully she's painting in a much better place now, but I had to mention her name.
Yes, Julie LaRue.
Yes.
Yeah, Julie.
Yeah,
Julie Ann. I thought I said her name, but maybe I didn't.
I was quickly looking for a picture of me and her together because she came up to me at the convention and she was so excited to be there because we were close by, and she had signed up, or I think she signed up or said she was signing up for the following year. And it was like a lifetime goal for her to be at the plein air convention. And I've been telling people that this is, I mean, that young woman was 31 years old. It's just a tragedy. And she was just engaged. She had her whole life ahead of her. And, we have to pursue what we want to pursue when we think of it. I've had so many instances. We had a woman who came to Fall Color Week, and she said to me, I've been talking about coming to this for 10 years, and this is the first time I've ever come. And she said after that week, she says, I'm coming every year. This is the best. I made so many great friends. And then she went home and she died. And so, but she got that 1 year in. I think that, whatever your dream is, don't let your fear get in the way of that dream. Don't let all the excuses get in the way of that dream. We all have excuses. I don't have the time. I've got family I've got to take care of. I've got a family member I've got to take care of. I've got an aging husband or wife, or I've got aging parents. You need to give yourself oxygen. You cannot thrive and take care of other people if you're not doing something for yourself from time to time. And, it doesn't matter if it's something that I'm doing or something somebody else is doing. If something appeals to you, you need to try and find a way. And you know what? We had an artist who wanted to come with us on one of our international painting trips to Cuba. And he called me and he says, I want to come. I don't have a way. And I said, well, find a way. And he said, okay, I will. And he did a fundraiser and he raised the money from his friends and family, and they paid for him to go to Cuba. So there's always a way in most cases. I mean, there are some devastating situations you just can't get out of. But I think that Kathie would agree that we really need to pursue these things. We just don't know what is in store for us around the corner. I mean, that young woman at Pace certainly didn't know that 6 weeks later she'd be gone, or 8 weeks later. And we were on pins and needles about her because we got a note from somebody that said her house floated away, but they hadn't found her. They didn't know if she was alive or dead. And of course, nobody can communicate there. Kathie, you and Buddy have put together a fundraiser. Tell me about that fundraiser for the people in North Carolina, because I was talking to Joe Miller at Cheap Joe's, and he said, whatever you're seeing on Instagram and whatever you're seeing on the news, he said it's 100 times worse than you can imagine.
Absolutely. We haven't been on the ground right there, but we lived in Asheville for 7 years. It was before I painted, and we have several friends over there. But I actually got an email from, or a message or something, one of those, from a gal in our country that said, Kathie, we want to hear from you. What's going on over there? You have a voice. Well, that really took me back, and Buddy and I both. And he woke up in the early morning of the day and was really touched by this, and really by her plea from us. And he wrote that beautiful thing on Instagram, I guess, and Facebook, and we just said, trust us with $20. We know people on the ground, we know people there, and we will get this money to people quickly if you do it. Just trust us with $20. We have raised $31,000. 10,000 went to the Swananoa area, where we know a couple there that have been serving people for years. And the day that we called her, that a man had come in that just needed a pair of boots. His boots have fallen apart in the mess. And then we sent some to the high mountains in North Carolina, because we know some people there that are people. And we kept saying, get this in the hands of the people that need it. And we also have some that are probably, we're not, there's a lot of people trying to get together to go over there, and we may use a little bit of the money to go over and be a resource. But we're also looking for a need for an artist. So many artists lost everything, their business, everything, in Asheville, North Carolina. So there's East Tennessee, the upper part of East Tennessee. And I could go on, and I don't need to. Y'all seen the videos.
Well, I want to encourage people to consider that. The other thing is that Cheap Joe's has a charity called Brushes for Vincent, which typically is for helping children. We help that a little bit, and they're trying to get out there and help the artist community. The River Arts District was decimated. The River Arts District has, if you look their website up, they're trying to raise money for artists. We just all need to do what we can. And so thank you for that, Kathie, and for Buddy. And we'll put a link to your website, and I assume that's probably on your website. Yes?
Yes.
So I
Yes, it will
actually,
be.
yeah, I actually have a link to a page on our website, outdoorpainter.com, where we've got all of these listed, including a link to what Kathie and Buddy are doing, and to all the places around Asheville and, Samaritan's Purse and that. So we'll share that link.
Thank
Okay.
you so much. Thank you.
All right. Well, Kathie, I think, I could go on and on and on and on with you. You're so delightful. And I just want to congratulate you on this new project. What a phenomenal new project. We're very excited about it. We think it is likely to be one of the biggest things that we've ever done. You are so popular and so loved, and people love your technique and style, but they also love you, and they want to know more about your life and your background and your friends and your studio. And what a great opportunity for people to see that. And we had big dialogues last night about, we normally, when we launch a product like this, it'd be a full $300 more. And we decided last night to keep it at a lower price. We had to, we have to be able to pay for it, but it's a very reasonable price and a really good opportunity. Of course, for the people who are watching this today, it's a price that's lower than what it will be when it releases tomorrow. And so you will have you'll have till midnight tonight to go ahead and sign up using the special link, but you have 1 hour after we end this broadcast, and you'll be able to get that bonus video of Kathie's demo at Pace. And they're all good. They're all different. And so check it out. I just want to go over real quickly, just so people understand it. The Ultimate Edition, which is not only plein air and studio demonstration, it's the 3-hour plein air, a 4-hour studio, high-speed views, exhibit of Kathie's work, insights, connections and creativity section. This is kind of the documentary part, conversations and community part of the documentary. And that is also available if you wanted just the studio section or you wanted just the plein air section. That's available. There's 3 prices for the 3 sections, 3 sessions. But if you combine the 2, it's more money than if you just got the best value, which is the Ultimate Studio Edition, the Ultimate Edition, which has everything on it. The others don't have any of the documentary footage on it, and it's worth seeing. So anyway, and 1 hour, within the 1 hour, you get Kathie's Pace demonstration as well. So check it out. If you go to do it tomorrow, you're going to end up paying more money, and you're going to wish you had it anyway. So just go to painttube.tv/Odom, and that's where you go to get this. Kathie, you have been so generous with your time. Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for having me.
I understand you're not even at home. You're traveling, you're camping, and so you found a place to go online. And
Yes, I'm on top of Lookout Mountain, and there were bagpipes playing earlier. I wish you could have heard them. It was beautiful.
Yeah. Any final
Thanks.
thoughts for people?
No, just let's keep painting. Let's do that.
Okay. Well, thank you, Kathie.
Thank
All right. Well, I
you.
want to thank Kathie Odom, and I want to thank Buddy Odom for putting all of this together. We've been working on this for months. And of course, thanks to my team, the crew, and to Carrie Stober for hosting this, and give her a thumbs up. She's doing a really terrific job for us. She's the living example. If you want to get something done, give it to a busy person. She crushes everything she takes on. And thank you to the entire Streamline team to do things like this. We've got a lot of different people involved at a lot of different areas. You've got Amandine, who is producing this on one end, and Dale and his crew, and TK. And if I start mentioning names, there's so many people. There's website builders and shopping cart builders and editors, and we have the entire crew in the video department, and it's just this endless numbers of people. We have 55 people, and it's just like, it takes a massive effort to put all this stuff together. And yeah, we have to pay them. And so you'd think they'd work for free because it's so much fun to work here. Maybe Carrie would work for free. Carrie, will you work for free?
No comment.
Okay. Right.
I love working here. It's fantastic.
Yeah, but you're not going to work for free. I get it. Okay, that's fine.
No,
That's
okay.
fair. Okay. Anyway, thank you to Aaron and Jennifer and Scott and Ian and John and everybody on the video crew side. And thank you to you. You know, we love doing these things where you can get to know the artist and get to know a little bit different side of them, and also to give you an opportunity to be first. You guys will be the first to get this video. It's not even being announced publicly till tomorrow. The people who have attended here, there's you know, I don't know how many, a few thousand of you watching, but you know, this is going to go out to 130, 140, 150,000 people tomorrow. And so you're going to be able to be one of the first, and you can be watching it right away. And it's going to be really going to be enjoyable. I think you'll like it. And I think that, you know, we kind of curious if you're going to like this or not, because this is something new we wanted to do. It's a little different from what we've done. It includes demos because everybody wants demos, but it's also kind of an in-depth documentary. We did that with Jill Carver. We did that with Clyde Aspaveg. We can't do it with very many people because it costs unbelievable amounts of money to put something like this together, to send a crew on the road for many, many days, and travel and equipment and all that stuff. So we have to reserve this for superstar level people, but we're giving you superstar level results on this. I think you'll really enjoy it. Thank you. You guys have a really terrific day. Remember, 30 minutes, is it 1 hour or 30 minutes, Carrie?
It is 1 hour from the
1
time
hour.
the webinar ends.
Okay, so we'll start the clock now as we say goodbye. We're going to put up the link one more time so that everybody has it. And we'll just leave that link on there, but the clock will start now. And so we're going to leave this up for a few minutes, but we're going to say goodbye. Thanks again to Kathie and to Buddy. Bye-bye, everybody.